So we're going to talk a little bit about AI prompting. And we're going to do that with an albeit exaggerated example of making a peanut butter sandwich. So I apologize that this little video that I'm going to put up here is has a little bit of an autofocus bouncing. I'm going to write it off to the fact that the camera operator was maybe a little interpreted the instructions on focusing, keeping the camera focusing as an AI would, rather literally. So before we get into the peanut butter and jelly example, probably the biggest point is the literal point. AI will take things you say somewhat literally. Now, it has gotten better, and sometimes it will ask clarifying questions, but for the most part, AI is a computer, just like computers from the first day they were created. Everyone has known the standard phrase, garbage in, garbage out. With AI, non-specificity equals garbage out in many cases. So when you do a prompt, you want to cover a couple of things when you're typing into or speaking to an AI. You want to tell it exactly what your objective is. What are you looking to get out of this interaction? You want to tell it exactly what you are providing it. If you are providing it any resources, any files or references or data or anything like that. You also kind of want to give it an idea of the structure of how you want it to use what you're giving it to achieve that goal. Okay. And then what you want that end goal to look like. And really kind of referring back to the first part, but to literally state how you're intending to use that output. Okay. If you can cover all of those things, and sometimes each one of those things is just a sentence. Okay. So it doesn't necessarily have to be long if you can cover all of those points. But if you cover all of those points, you are likely to get out either what you're looking for or very close to what you're looking for. So that then in a follow-up prompt, you can say, oh, okay, that was good, but really I would like this kind of adjustment to it or this reconsideration of it. So just to give you, again, a somewhat exaggerated and fun idea of what I mean by how an AI can misinterpret you, here is, and again, I apologize that the autofocus is a little winky on this. Again, AI autofocus and the cameraman wasn't paying attention. Making a peanut butter and jelly.
Okay, now I have to pee. I'm kidding. I just really wanted to annoy you. I'm kidding. I'm fine.
See, it's hard to find good help. But today, our resident biologist,
Hi.
who feeds animals for a living,
is
going to help us demonstrate the pitfalls of writing an AI prompt. It's kind of like getting your 21-year-old to follow written instructions to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
That felt kind of insulting, but okay.
If I were to tell you that the instructions were to get bread, peanut butter, and jelly, and to put the peanut butter and jelly on the bread, that is almost precisely what an AI engine would do. It's going to take your directions literally. So let's say that I said, okay, undo that sandwich, whatever you'd like to call it. Okay, remove 2 slices of bread from the bread bag.
This is very complicated, by the way, so it's going to take a second.
Okay, now put the peanut butter on the bread. Same problem. Okay, take the peanut butter off the bread. Spread the peanut butter on the bread.
How?
You don't get to ask questions. I gave you a directive.
I think they changed the recipe. It doesn't spread as good as it used to.
That's what it was used to. Okay, so the AI did accomplish the mission. Maybe not in the way you intended, but it did accomplish the mission. Okay.
What? Food.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's good. It's very environmentally friendly. Do not waste food. There's a paper towel if you need one. Okay. Okay. So, my next instruction to the AI. Clean off your hand. We have accomplished peanut butter. That's fine. Okay, now put the jelly on the unpeanut buttered slice of bread. Okay, take the jelly off the unpeanut buttered slice of bread.
Oh, there's the knife.
Using the knife, appropriately remove a small amount of jelly from the jelly container and spread it evenly across the unpeanut buttered slice of bread. Okay. Okay, let's try again. Squirt a small amount of jelly onto the piece of bread. Squirt a sufficient amount of jelly onto the piece of bread. Okay, close the jelly. Now, put the jelly down. Now, using the knife, spread the jelly on the surface of the piece of bread it is sitting on, gently and appropriately. Okay, now, lick knife clean. Don't try this at home, kids.
I usually just use my fingers. I don't know why you told me to do that.
Now, okay, put down the knife. Put down the knife and back away slowly. Okay, so now, don't do this. But if I were to tell you to take the two pieces of bread and put them on top of one another, what would you do?
Probably just pick one up and.
So then it would be jelly bread, peanut butter bread.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to take the peanut buttered bread in one hand and the jelly bread in the other hand, and then put the jelly against the peanut butter. We have achieved peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
I haven't had lunch yet.
Hopefully that gives you just kind of a general understanding. Yes, that was a fun little example, and it was probably a little over-exaggerated, but it makes the point that, as with anybody who has ever written documentation for anything, how much we assume, how much we think, well, this is just common sense, common knowledge. I don't have to explain this part. And we subconsciously think that. Whenever I write out instructions for anyone, I always tell them, okay, now take these and do the thing. Because it is quite likely that there's a step that I just do so reflexively that I didn't think to write it down, or I didn't explain it well enough, or I wrote it down, but I didn't explain what it means because I just know what it means because I'm the one writing the instructions. I'm the one that normally does the process. So just some things to think about. We're going to go through some examples of prompt writing, but just wanted to give you a kind of an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's get into some examples here of prompt writing. So, well, and another consideration is you want to be specific, because if you're too vague, if your question is too large, you're going to get back a lot of information that you don't necessarily need or want. And looking at the environmental impact, you've made the AI, that, if you want to think of that as the big cloud of computers and systems out there, okay, work a lot harder than it needed to. So it needed more cooling, it needed more processing, it needed more equipment, it needed more space. So just from that aspect, you don't want the AI to have to work harder than it needs to. So again, I'm going to recommend you generally lean on AI as an intern, an assistant, not doing the work for you, as you saw in past things. I'll speak out my thoughts or write up my thoughts and then ask AI to clean up, fix the punctuation, turn it into paragraphs where I was just run on speaking and that kind of thing. Ask it for some suggestion that it might have based on the topic, but not have it write it. If I want to alter an image and I'm not going to do it myself, maybe give it the image and ask it just, very specifically, I want this thing changed to this thing. Don't just give it free range to make this image better. And have it spend a lot of time creating an entire image when you just needed one little change. Um, you can still use a spreadsheet to sort and qualify data. Often there's no reason to have the AI do that. You can do that yourself, unless it's a very complex process that's going to take you 8 hours and you feel that the AI can do in 5 minutes. Beyond that, you still do have access to all the tools you've previously had access to. Make use of them. If for no other reason, using the mind keeps the mind. So let's say that I want an analysis of our website. So yeah, I'm going to burn some AI time here, so you'll have to excuse me for that. But please provide me an analytics assessment of the website carmelites.net. If I just tell it that, my hope is it's going to ask me a clarifying question, because that's a heck of a request. Okay. And it's going to ask me for analytics. So let's see what it says here. Executive assessment. Developed beyond a traditional organizational website into an active Carmelite. Kind of addressed that a little bit. Clearer audience positioning. The homepage now explains that the site is intended for people discerning of vocation, seeking Carmelite spirituality, or looking for support on Carmelite ministries. That is that little blurb. That is important for analytics, and we've kind of covered that before. The vocations page contains a clear explanation of Carmelite life, authentic testimony from friars, repeated personal testimonies. Okay, now I'm giving it some data I pulled about recent posts, and I just pasted that data in. I just said, here, use this data, and I just pasted it. I had it in a spreadsheet. I copied it and pasted it, and I'm letting it figure out what's what. So it has to determine that the first thing is the post name, the next thing is sessions, the next thing is visitors, page views, average time, bounce, and engaged. So as you can see here, it came back with much more useful results because I gave it very specific data to work with. I told it what I was looking for, and it's coming back with some information about those various posts based on the analytics that I provided it. It's giving me some very useful information on each individual post because I asked it to do that. It's then going to give me kind of a summary and overall assessment of each of those, where they performed well, where they could use some tightening up and strengthening, and then kind of a central lesson. But that's because what I told it was, here, I'm going to give you this data. This is what this data is, and this is what I want you to do with this data. And here's what I want to know. It gave me some little caveats and my best direction going forward and where I should kind of focus a little bit. So by being more specific, this is what I was able to get out of the system and not waste as much time or as many resources. Remember, when you're putting together a prompt, bear in mind, what is your objective? What are you trying to achieve when you are asking the AI to do something for you? What resources are you providing it? Be that files you're uploading or where you're asking it to go look. What resources are you giving it, and explain to it what those are, particularly if it's something that you're uploaded. How do you want it to perform the task? So what do you want it to do? How do you want it to use the data that you have provided it or told it to go get? How do you want the result formatted? Do you want it in a table? Do you want it in a presentation? Do you want to answer certain questions? And on that note, how do you intend to use the output? What are you looking to do with this output? Just to address questions? What are those questions? What question are you trying to answer? Or are you trying to present it to someone? And are you trying to make an argument for something? And tell it that. And it will structure the result, be it a chart, data, list, report, whatever, in that way. So keep that in mind. If you have any questions, give me a call. Thanks for watching.